Hey everyone, Matt McGuire here. Welcome to this week's installment of Tech20 Tuesday. Today we're going to be talking about my favorite way to present. It's a web-based program as well as an available downloaded app, and it's called Prezi. You may have heard of it before. And to get there, we're just going to log on to Prezi.com where we can get started if you don't have an account. You can set one up, or we can log in, and we're going to log in. Okay, so here's my login screen. I have my username and my password entered, and I'm going to log into Prezi. I like Prezi a lot. It's very interactive. Okay, at the home screen, you probably won't have any Prezis already created if you're just starting fresh. If you have tried Prezi before, here's where you'll see all your previous Prezis you've created. You can download a free trial of Prezi for 30 days. And the last time I checked, educators get a free full version of Prezi anyway. So you may want to look into that. As long as you have your educator email, that's how you can sign up, and Prezi will give you that. You can also earn some more gigabytes to use for Prezi presentations as well. So I'm going to go ahead and click on a new Prezi. When you click on a new Prezi, you're brought to a page that houses a lot of different templates that you can choose from. These templates are a way, springboard to get started on your presentation. If you're looking to start from scratch, there's also an option that you can just start a blank Prezi right here. Some popular templates are listed on the right, and over here they have the latest brand new templates. There's usually 8 or so of those. To see more, click more, and you can see a number of them. Prezi removes some old presentations and some templates, and they add new ones quite frequently. So they keep things quite fresh. When choosing a template, look at the template and how it moves. They usually have them sorted by numbers. And choose a theme or style that matches what your presentation will be. So I'm at my Prezi page, and I'm looking at the templates, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose a template to work with, and then we'll just look at some of the basics of Prezi. For today, maybe we're talking about a journey that we're going on, so we're going to choose this one called The Road Ahead, highlight it, and use the template. You're now taken to a page that houses the template, and basically it will show you how the template moves, starting from step 1 and moving along what's called a path. If I'm just to show you how this is set up before I do anything at all, I can look over here and they have all my pages or my path set up right alongside. To view this and see how it moves, I'm just going to click on the first one, and then I'm going to use my arrow on my arrow keys on my keyboard to pan through them and see how they look. So I'm pushing the down arrow key right now. So it zooms in on step 1. I can change this title here to make it whatever I want. And I can add text here as well. If I want to continue looking to see how this is set up, come back to my path and hit the down arrow key to see where I'm moving to next. And so on. Now there's nothing that says that you have to use these boxes that they have here. In fact, if you want to delete the box itself, you can click on it, it will highlight it, and it'll show it in a frame here. And I can either zoom in and look at it, I can choose to make this a different looking frame, like a bracket style, or a circle, a rectangle as we saw before, an invisible frame, where I can remove the frame entirely, or hit the delete key. Hitting the delete key removes the frame. I still actually have the writing and the text that was there before. If I want to remove that as well, I can just click on it and remove or add to it myself. At any given time, if I want to get back to my home page, which overlooks everything, I can just come up to this top left spot here which shows my whole page, and just click on that and it'll bring me to that view. So the purpose of a frame is basically to house a certain amount of content or theme. And again, just click on the text to add text, and if you do want to change the theme, you can come here and again make this a circle, make it a bracket, or an invisible frame, which will continue just to zoom in on that section, but it won't show a border. The zoom to frame button just shows you that one frame entirely. And again, I'm going to come back to my home screen here and look at what I have to work with. For today's tutorial, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to delete these frames entirely so we can start from scratch and maybe show you how to create some of your own. I'll delete this text box as well. And I just deleted that text box either by hitting the delete menu when it comes up or just choosing the backspace button. So I'm going to go back to my home screen. And as you can see now, as I deleted those brackets, I only have two sections of my path left, the beginning and the ending. The reason why these don't change when I look at them is because this is what you're going to see at the beginning of my Prezi presentation and at the end. So let's say I'm a student making a Prezi to showcase my educational career up to university. I may want to start with my elementary experience, and to do that I may want to start with one frame. So I'm going to come up to frames and arrows, and I'm going to either insert a frame or I'm going to start with an invisible frame. It allows me to draw this frame, and I know that with my Prezi I want to start somewhere and end somewhere. I don't really want to start up here and then end up down here and have this path moving this way like this. I certainly don't want it jumping around like this, and that's where you'll get that Prezi dizziness. So if I'm going to start my path, I'm going to start on this road right here. I'm going to hold my mouse button down and I'm going to draw my first frame. And what that does is it creates a path for me automatically and brings me to number 2, and I can zoom in. You can barely see the grid lines here showing my first frame. When you present this, as I mentioned, you won't actually see that frame because we chose the invisible frame. And when you first get started, if I want to add text to this, all I have to do is basically click on the inside of the frame somewhere and it will bring up my text. I'm going to head this elementary school, and if I want to highlight that and change the font or anything like that, I can by dragging my mouse, my Control A button. I can change the way that this looks. Right now I can have it look as a title, which is nice and bolded, subtitle, or body, which would be mostly where I'm describing what the heading is. So I'm going to choose title. As you can see, it's bolded. I can unbold it and I can italicize it right here. If I want to do an automatic rowing of those fonts, I can do that. I can shrink them. I'm going to keep them there, and I can change the color of that as well. I'm going to highlight that, and I'll choose to change something that pops a little bit more, and I'm set. This button here actually allows you to highlight your letters. After that, if I just simply hit my enter key, I can continue adding more of my title, or I can just click on the outside of it and it will leave it at that. After that, I may choose to add a number of other texts or bullets underneath, and again I can choose the way that looks, and I can actually add bullets by clicking on this button here. I can center it or justify. And you're not noticing a change yet because I haven't added anything else. And again over here brings it to one side of the block or the other. And again, if I hit the enter key, it's going to give me my next bullet. Just like Microsoft Word, if I want to add that bullet underneath another bullet, I can hit the Tab key, and that will give me the subheading of the bullet as well. Again, I can change these fonts and everything using this navigational panel up here. So that's basically how a frame works. Again, that's an invisible frame. If you'd rather that frame be seen again, you can actually change that in this setting here. Now we're going to look at how to draw an arrow or a line. And basically I'm going to come back to my home screen, and as you can see, that's quite small down there. And although you can't see it very clearly now, when it's zoomed in, you can see it quite clearly. If I click on that, you'll see the red in elementary school. Now if I want to move this frame to my next frame, maybe it's going to be a middle school frame on my bracket right here. Maybe I might want to move this here, or I may want to move it along this path of the road. What I can do before I actually insert my frame is I can draw an arrow to guide the eye and show where we're going next. Basically, I click on an arrow, and I'm going to again hold my mouse, and I'm just going to move that way. Now, they'll let you adjust the arrow and the look of it in ways. If you grab this middle box, it allows you to curve the arrow. It also allows you to extend the arrow, and it will allow you to make other changes. This thins it out and thickens, and the style itself changes the color. Again, I want to try to stick with as much of a theme as I can, and I can delete it using this button. I can come back to this arrow at any time and extend it anywhere I want if I change directions, anything like that. I'm going to keep this on the straight and narrow here. Okay, so now I find myself with my first frame done and my arrow pointing to where I want to go. I'm ready to actually move on to my next frame. Just a few navigational tips too. If you move your cursor over to this side, you'll see that a little icon here appears with a house on it, which is going to bring you to basically where you would if you were up in this top hand corner. Also, if you have a wheel on your mouse, you can zoom in and out that way. But again, if you come over here and this appears, you can zoom in using this plus magnifier or zoom out with the minus magnifier at any time. That will appear when you hover your mouse over it and disappear when you leave it. So now I'm ready to make a new frame in this area here, and that's going to be my middle school icon, or my bracket. And again, if I click on this, I'm ready to write middle school. Now I can write that, as you see, I can write that just plain without a bracket. Again, if I want to include a bracket in there, I can do the same procedure as before up in my frames and arrows section. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. So I'm going to realize I forgot that. I'm going to delete that. Go ahead and insert another invisible frame, just like that. And again, that creates a path over in this section. That'll be my next step after my elementary school bracket. And I'm going to go in here and type in my middle school. You can see that's a lot bigger than what my elementary school heading is. I'm going to go ahead and just right away make that into my title and into the red. Now instead of trying to match that up to the same size as this one, what I'm actually going to do is I'm actually going to manually make it smaller. Keep your eyes as I move this down and shrink it. Keep your eyes on this elementary school font here as well, and you're going to see that as I move this down, you're going to see that it's very close to where my elementary school is. Now let's move this in a bit. That's just about right. Now if I can also manually move that this way. Now keep an eye on my bottom left corner here. Keep an eye on this elementary school font. You're going to see it actually highlight when I've matched the size of the middle school font to the elementary school font. There it is now. It shows you that it's the same exact size now, and that's great for keeping consistency in your project. And then I'm ready to go ahead and add some more text here and follow in with my black bullets that I did before. So now that I have two frames finished, my elementary school frame and my middle school frame, you'll see that now I have four pathways over here. I have my home path, which is where I'll be when I first begin my presentation. And then as I move forward, I have my elementary school path, and moving in to my middle school path. Now you'll notice even though I did follow the arrow itself wasn't highlighted. It wasn't part of the path directly. If I did indeed want to make this arrow part of my path, or any other section for that matter on my canvas, I can do that in the Edit Path section. So as I click on Edit Path, you're going to see it shows you everywhere that I've gone from 1, 2, 3, and 4. So you'll see 1 is my main canvas path, 2 comes down into my bracket, 3 comes over to my middle school. If I actually want to add that arrow as part of a pathway, what I can do is I can actually click this plus sign and drag that in to where I want to add as a path. Notice over here we'll add it in as number 3. Now you'll notice from my home page to my number 2, moving on to number 3 follows my arrow if I wanted to include that, and number 4 as my middle school, and back as my home again. Now I'm going to show you how to have features that are actually animated in your pathways. You can see in my second bracket here how I have a separate elementary school and then these grade levels that I've done, and again over here as middle school and my grade levels. If I click on my 4th pathway, you're going to see that this is what the 4th pathway looks like in this bracket. If I want to actually highlight and show middle school on a full screen, I can click Edit My Path. Here's number 4 going into number 5. I'm going to showcase my middle school and this bracket next. And now you'll see that I have number 4 highlighting in middle school, highlighting my grades and any other information that I have there. Now getting back to that, if I want to add some animation to this bracket, I can also do that in the Edit Path feature. Here's my number 4. If I wanted to actually not have these zoom in, but just appear, then I can actually delete what I've done. I don't really like the look of that, so I'm just going to take this path and I'm going to drag it out into nowhere and it will delete it. Drag this out into nowhere and it'll delete it. Now I'm ready to add an animation on number 4, which is done with this star button. If I click on it, you'll see Animate Frame Content. I'll click on that. What I can do next is then highlight what I want to appear next. So I'm in my animation window. I'm going to click on my middle school. It's going to be my first animation, and this next bracket or window is my next animation. If I make a mistake, I can always go back and delete. Maybe I had them out of order. When I'm done, I click the Done button. If I do want to see how that looks, I just click this Play button and it'll show me. I'm done. I'm done editing my path. Just to get a little look at that, here's my 4th pathway, and I'm ready for my 5th. Now I'm just going to take you through and show you a few more options here, not getting into too much detail, and I know we're running out of time. At any given time, if you do make a mistake, there is this undo key, which is the same as your Control-Z. And again, it's saving right now because I just made a change, and it'll save automatically. But if at any time you do a major step and you want to make sure it's saved, there'll be a save icon here which you can click on at any time when it's not saving itself. And the other thing that we didn't look at was just the highlight button, and that just allows you to highlight text, and I don't need that right now, so I'm going to undo. Now this other feature here is an insert feature, and it allows you to embed images and other things inside your presentation. If you want to put an image in, you can actually search the Google Images database and enter that in, and you can also select a file from your computer. I'm just going to go into my libraries and into my picture folder and insert this picture, and it just takes a few seconds and brings that in. And then what happens is it'll put the picture in, it'll allow me to adjust the size of it and a few other features. I can do that like this. I can use this to move around the picture. I can even crop the image. And click outside, I'm ready to go. Again, I can adjust it manually like this, and some other features. I do find that the effects, they have not perfected the effects yet, and it does take a while to load up. I haven't used that feature. Again, you can delete the picture. You can replace it with another picture file, and then when I'm ready I can put this anywhere I want. I can actually even put that inside my elementary school bracket if I want. And let's say I want to add that as a pathway that I had forgotten in the past. So I'm going to edit my path, and before I move on to my arrow, I'm going to take that 2 and add that to my picture, and that adds that to my pathway. When I'm done editing my path, I can click Done and close off my images. I can also insert symbols and shapes, which they do have a database, and just these little things that are kind of fun. You can go into shapes and edge things. Basically, you just click on one and it'll show you what's available. That kind of thing. And you can stick those in and embed those as well. I can also insert diagrams, which are very cool if you're looking to explain something, and you can have these in a separate bracket as well, and they'll just put them right in. So if I wanted to put this inside my presentation, it's kind of like a little mini presentation in your presentation. I can add that to my pathway, and again, these are all small brackets, just like these ones, just a little more complex. If I double click on this, if I come into this, it'll allow me to look at this, and I can add my headings and subheadings. And as you see, it's added 8, 9, 10. It's going to allow me to move across these now and through. So just another main feature that's really nice. Back to my home. I can also insert YouTube videos just by entering in, copy and pasting the link in. Now they will embed right into your Prezi. The only issue with that is if you don't have an internet connection, the YouTube video won't work. Again, you can add background music, which is a fairly new feature of Prezi. You may want that just kind of set the mood a little bit. You can insert a file from your computer, a PDF, a video, or anything like that. As well, you can actually put a PowerPoint within your Prezi. Lastly, up here you can change the theme of your presentation. This is something that I'd recommend you do at the very start, because basically we've already chosen our theme as it is with what you see here. But just to show you what this does, if I do change this, it'll actually change the font, the colors, and whatnot within my presentation. So if you find that you just don't like the look of your presentation, as you can see, it changes a lot of that. If you ever want to go back to what you had, you can just revert to the original. Okay, that's most of the features of Prezi for today. Just over here, if you need any tutorials or frequently asked questions, anything new in Prezi, that's kind of what this tab is. You can change the screen ratio of how your presentation looks. You can actually enable shortcuts if you've embedded links inside your Prezi. And again, to share your Prezi, when you're completely finished, you can share that with other people. You can present that as well. You can actually download this to your computer and present it that way, and other features that you can do as well. Portable Prezi is if you're presenting offline, and again, your YouTube videos or anything online won't work for that. At any time, as you can see, it's saving. You might want to keep that in mind. When you are finished, this is your presentation mode. So when I do click on this, you'll see that it's full screen. I'm going to allow my keyboard controls, and basically I'm going to start this way. And this is how your Prezi will look when it's completely finished. And there's the animations we put in, and again, our bracket, which I won't get into. The last thing that I'd like to show is basically don't forget a title on your presentation. You can do that from the very start, as you saw. You want to make sure that that stands out and represents your Prezi. And I think that's a good showing of Prezi to the basics in a nutshell. Thanks for joining me on Tech 20 Tuesday, and